Hello, hello. So just a quick chat about today. I just wanted to talk a bit about the promises in the 12 steps. Now, if you're not in recovery, this probably won't matter to you, but maybe you know somebody who's in recovery. Maybe you know somebody who said, "Oh, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me." And lots of addicts and alcoholics have that story. It doesn't work for me. They got that God business. I don't have anything to do with that God business. And so they keep living in the way that they're living. And if you're an alcoholic or an addict and you're still, using and drinking, it's screwed up. It's like, holy shit, things do not get better. They get worse. And yet pride, right? Fear, keep us from asking for help. And it would be okay if it just affected you, but if you're the family of an alcoholic, it affects everybody. And so don't believe that story. If the addict, the alcoholic says, "Well, it did. I tried it, didn't work for me," or maybe he went to a half a dozen meetings or whatever. But I work with a lot of guys, and when I sit down and we go deep into that book, they're like, "Holy shit, I never read this before. I didn't know about this. I didn't know about that." They just made up their mind. They had some preconceived notions, and some prejudices, and they said this can't possibly work, but it does. You get around with some of the guys in the 12-step world, you know that it does because they're sober, and from their conversation that they know what it was like to be out there. They know what it was like to be using and drinking. So I just I the restless, irritable, discontent, or happy, joyous, and free. What I wanted to do, because just not drinking or not using really isn't enough. Why, why just, why just take that? Why would you possibly, you know, be what we call white knuckling it or dry drunk? You know, and what happens to the dry drunk? People still can't be with us when we're in a when we're not living a kind of a spiritually based life. Now, I'm talking about God. I don't care what you call it. If you don't like the name, if you have prejudice against the name of God, call it isness, or call it consciousness, or call it love. I don't really care what you call it. Um, Stillness, the quiet, universal intelligence, you know, the ancestors, the grandfathers. There's so many names. It's unbelievable how many names there are. Call it, in step three, it refers to the higher power as the employer or the director, right? And so there's lots and lots of things. We don't have to call it. If there's a particular name that gives you, upsets you, I mean, it's too bad. But if there is, just call it what fits for you. There's something, there's some power in the universe, and all we have to do is access it. And the keys to that are willingness, open-mindedness, and honesty. So we have to be willing. We have to be open-minded for the possibility that there's shit you don't know, right? That you just don't know. You can't possibly know, because mostly what happens with the alcoholic and the addict, that we're so grossly self-centered. We just can't imagine that there'd be something outside of us that would be interested in our well-being. Um, the Bill Wilson wrote this book, the big book, and on page 83, he listed some promises. These are the 9-step promises. There's a lot of promises before this, 3rd-step promises and 5-step promises, and you should look them up. But imagine that you could live this way, just for a minute. It says, if we're painstaking about this phase of our development, this is the 9th step, which is that we're cleaning up the past. We'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. A new freedom and a new happiness. Will not regret the past nor wish to shut their door on it. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door. We will comprehend the word serenity. Imagine. And we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we'll see our experience can benefit others, because the whole trip is about helping others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Wow. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. Can you imagine if fear of people and economic insecurity would left us? You know what? I'm still kind of crazy. I love peanuts, but I'm a bit allergic to them. And sometimes when I eat peanuts, I sneeze like that. And anyway, so fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us. We intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. Imagine, intuitively know how to handle situations used to baffle us. We'll suddenly realize that God, and replace that word with whatever you want, that's a power greater than us, is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. I like just to replace it with love sometimes. We'll suddenly realize that love is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. So these extravagant promises, we think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They'll always materialize. We work for them. That's pretty cool, isn't it? So that's the possibility. Why would we not take it? Why would we not take it? Find a good sponsor, somebody who knows how to walk you through the steps and do them. What have you got to lose? I mean, you can always go back out drinking if it doesn't work. But I have not run into anybody in 40 years in recovery who said that I really worked hard at the steps. I really did everything that the book asked me to do, and I still went back out drinking. Nobody. It never. I mean that, never. So it's there for us if we want it, and we can pick it apart if we want. But what happens when we don't get recovery is we die. And if it was just that we died, would be one thing, but it's a miserable road. We could drag on for years and lose everything. And so just wanted to share that with you. The promises, happy, joyous, and free, rocketed into the fourth dimension. I mean, there's so many great descriptions that Bill put into the big book about what does recovery look like, the possibilities for all of us. So I think we're on April the 5th, and I'm going to read this little 24-hour day book that I've been reading every day here for a while. And tell me what you think. So people often ask, what makes the 12-step program work? One of the answers is that the 12-step works because it gets a person away from himself as the center of the universe. That's just what I was saying, Holy Toledo. And it teaches him to rely more on the fellowship of others and the strength of God. So the fellowship of others, by the way, is love. The fellowship of others is love. Forgetting ourselves in fellowship, prayer, and working with others is what makes the 12-step program work. Boom. There we go. Nailed it. Meditation for the day. God, or love, universal intelligence or consciousness, is the great interpreter of one human personality to another. Even personalities who are the nearest together have much in their nature that remains a sealed book to each other. And only as God enters and controls their lives are the mysteries of these revealed to the other. Each personality is so different. God alone understands perfectly the language of each and can interpret between the two. Here we find the miracles of change and the true interpretation of life. Nice reading. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may be in the right relationship with God. And remember, call it love, universal intelligence. I pray that God will interpret to me the personalities of other people so that I may understand them and help them. So true. So true. All right, you guys. So recovery, you know, um, just recognize that if we put anything ahead of that, we the chances are if we're real alcoholic or real addict, we lose everything. You know, if we put work ahead of recovery, if we put a relationship ahead of recovery, right? Fitness. These are some of the things that I've watched guys say, oh, I can't go to meetings. I got to go to the gym. And 2 months later, they're gone. It isn't like they just went somewhere else. They, they die, you know, and well, they're in good shape on the way out, but still. Or I can't go to so many meetings. I have a girlfriend. Well, you won't have a girlfriend for long if we're out drinking and using. And as you know, it's very hard on relationships. So recognize it. If you're honest up front, and if you meet a lady and if you meet a fella and you're honest and say, look, I this is my life is this, and I have to do this. This is how I stay sober. This is how I grow spiritually, and it trumps everything else. So and the same with work. I encourage my guys always to tell their employers that they're in recovery and that no, they can't work 70 or 80 hours a week. They just can't. They need to focus on a certain amount of hours every week on their recovery. And so if you'd like to have all of those things, they're all available, but they can't be ahead of your recovery, your relationship with higher power. Okay, I know. Just hope that's okay to share that stuff with you. Um, we're going to sit for a couple of minutes because one of the ways to make this connection with this thing that we can't really describe, or this thing that hi Jennifer, love you girl, come tonight to my little group. Old Jennifer, we have on Monday nights we have a little um, sharing group, and which has been really really nice. I've really enjoyed it. So 7 o'clock, I've got it posted on my Facebook page and YouTube channel, and I'm just going to add the Zoom link to it in a minute here. So I'd love you to join. It's a private meeting, but anybody can join. It's just not aired publicly, and it's at 7 o'clock, and we're just on a Zoom call, and everybody gets a chance to speak and share what's happening in their lives. And we don't. Hi, Steve. We don't try to fix people, and nobody's broken. We listen. Listening is loving, right? Listening is loving, so we listen, and we don't judge. And it's just really good to be able to be honest, and confidentiality is a part of it, so we know we're in a safe place. Okay, guys. So we're going to sit for a couple minutes, very short, like I'm talking 3 or 4 minutes. This is all I'm not going to ask you to sit like I like to sit, I'm not going to do 20 minutes or half an hour or an hour of sitting. We're just going to sit very quietly for 3 or 4 minutes. So this is practice, just practice this. And so close your eyes, and we're going to go to that still spot. That still spot that's deep down inside each and every one of us, right? That oneness place, the silence, the stillness, the oneness, the isness, the undescribable. So it's past the thoughts, outside of the thinking mind. We have to be here now to access that. How do we get to be here now? And focus for a minute on your breath. And the here and now is kind of that space between the inhale and the outhale, and the exhale. Just there it is. Inhale, exhale. Just be in your body. in your feet and your knees. Just feel yourself. Be here now in your body. Let all thoughts go, all stories go, all ideas of who you are, all identities, all attachments, everything that might come after the I am. Like I am a man, or I am a woman, or I am a, just let it go. I am a Canadian, just let it go. It's just a story. I am young, I am old, all story. Bill Wilson said that God either is or he isn't. Either he's everything or he's nothing. And he said that fundamentally the idea of God is deep down inside of every man, woman, and child. That's where we're going when we sit, is that deep down inside. So just quietly watch, quietly observe the space, the stillness, the openness between things, the oneness between things. All right, so you can come back anytime or just stay in that space. If you find that emptiness, that stillness, just stay with it. No need to come back. If you'd like to join us later, I'll post the Zoom link. You can join us later for a bit of a sharing group and a short meditation then too. Thank you guys. Love you so much.